Hi, everyone. My name is James Morantu. With me is Cami Naranjo. Today, we're going to talk to you about cloud analytics. So, Cami, go ahead, kick it off for us.
Excellent. Well, thank you to everyone in the Angel Beat community. We are thrilled to be here with you. Both James and I have the opportunity to work in the Global Black Belt team at Microsoft. We lead on the analytics practice. And so today we partner because we want to bring both sides of the analytics conversation, provoke some really good questions on the business side and how you're thinking about analytics, as well as go into the architecture and the benefits that Synapse, which is Azure Analytics Platform, has to offer. So with that, let's get started. The goal today, so we're here to guide you through 3 important questions to consider when thinking about your analytics strategy. And we're going to tell you more about Azure Synapse in a moment. Analytics plays a critical role on adaptability and growth of your business. You know, just think about how quickly was your organization able to adapt during the pandemic in this calendar year. And having good data is the first and most important step to getting to AI. So would more robust analytics and AI capabilities help you create competitive advantage, streamline operations, increase sales, retain and attract talent? I will let you, answer that, but I think it's really important. So James, if you want to move to the next one. So it's important that we think about analytics in our organization with a purpose. You know, what is real-time analytics going to do for your business? And what is going to be the return on that investment? And in a minute, we're going to talk about that continuum. What does that look like from today's data through feeding that data into knowledge mining, machine learning, and AI capabilities? And what we hear our customers say is that, you know, in the triple-digit percentage, investing in data analytics capabilities brings 3-digit percentage return on investment. Next one. So let's start with the first question. And what you'll see on the screen is a typical framework to look at the analytics continuum. You have value on the vertical axis and difficulty on the horizontal axis. And so we've got descriptive analytics, which tells us what happened. So for example, how much did we sell? We've got diagnostics analytics, which looks at the data and analyzes why, why did it happen? So for example, why did we sell more of this and less of that? Why is Clorox selling every single possible product they've got during the pandemic? And same as coffee and Oreos, what other shortages have you seen during the pandemic? Then we move to predictive analytics, which is, this is the point that connects the past with the future. It's what will happen next. Will that product continue to sell well, or will it stop? Because it was a trend, it was a fad, it was the consequence of a given circumstance. And then finally, prescriptive analytics. That's where you have the power to leverage AI, knowledge mining, AI, and machine learning capabilities. Because what you really want to ask yourself is, what should I do to make an outcome happen? What do I need to create inside my business to be able to predict that? And so in this trend of thought, we collect data, we organize it, and we understand it. And then we let the machines learn about it and show us the different routes we can take to execute on it. Now let's put this theory into an example. And after that, we're going to jump into a poll. I'd love to know where you think you are on this continuum. So to put this into an example, I'm going to use the relationship between power outages and crime to explain the progression. So we know that there is a power outage, and we know that there might be a crime, a robbery. And that is descriptive analytics. We know what happened. We know there was a power outage, and we know that there might have been a robbery. But if you bring them together, if you look at that data, then you can start to see the patterns. And you know that when there's a power outage, there might be an increase in crime. And that's descriptive analytics. We know what happened. And then we see that spike, and then you see that spike, and that's diagnostic analytics, right? We see that's when there's an outage, crime spikes. And then we can predict, right? We can predict that, hey, if we lose electricity in a certain sector in the city, then crime is likely to spike. And then finally, then we can predict, right? We can say, well, now that we know what happens, why it happens, what will happen, then what action we can take. So with that, Ron, why don't we move to the poll? And we'd love to hear from you where you think you are on this curve. How are you using analytics today?
Well, looking at this, we're getting almost 3/4 or in the middle, almost evenly split between diagnostic and predictive, maybe 10–15% for descriptive, and the same thing for descriptive.
So that is excellent. Thank you for sharing, Ron. So what that means is that many of you are still at the beginning of that curve, and so we will talk through that. For those of you who are at any point in the curve, I think Bala's conversation around data governance is key. And then stay tuned for the conversations ahead around AI. We've got a couple of people coming up to share about AI capabilities for you who are further ahead on the curve. So James, next. Here's the second question. Do you have clarity on who needs access to the data? And even if you do, and you have clarity on the different personas, do you know what they will be using it for? What formats will they need in? Do you know the speed with which they'll be querying it? And most importantly, do you know what is their capability to process, experiment on it, and read it? And the reason I'm being so clear here is because the capability and need of a data scientist or a developer will differ significantly from that capability of a business user who's looking to have real-time insights on a day-to-day business performance. So understanding your audience for data, the need, and their capability is of the utmost importance. So Ron, why don't we move to the next poll and find out what the level of confidence is from our audience if they feel they know the people who are going to be using this data and they're confident about the clarity on the capabilities they will need to have.
Well, interestingly enough, and that's why we've got well over 100 people listening in, probably at least half of them say they've got work to do. Only a quarter are confident that everything's in place, and then you've got another quarter somewhat confident. So the good thing is, I imagine if we would do this poll at the end, we'd have a lot more people confident as to what needs to be done after your expertise.
Well, good. That is excellent. There might be one question that you probably hadn't looked at. This was this level of detail. We're now going to go through the content of the slide. You're going to have access to these slides, and so there will be some interesting pointers there that will guide you through what each audience looks at. And we are at Microsoft to help you through that process. So next slide, please. And so here is the third question. What do you look for in a platform to gain insights securely and effectively for your data? Do you have hybrid environments, both on-prem and cloud? Do you have security concerns? what is the level of security that you need for the applications that you're running? Is it row-level security? What are the requirements for scalable and flexible levels of performance within different groups of your organization? Are you going to have to scale to 60 nodes within a matter of days because you've got an increasing demand from the business? Can you do that? Can the platform with which you're working do that? And do you have a platform that gives you the ability to fully leverage your operational store to gain actionable insights? You will, one of the biggest things that we see across our customer base is that data is spread out in silos, and bringing it together and being able to gain insights from that is important to them. So with that, let's move to the next poll. What is most important for you? We'd love to hear. Is it the hybrid capability of your platform? Is it the security? Is it the comprehensiveness of what it provides? And I think the last one is platform, probably the first three. We might have repeated the last word.
Well, not surprisingly, you run about half of the people are much more concerned about security as their top priority. About a third are going to be interested in a comprehensive platform, much less interest in hybrid capabilities.
Excellent. So that's wonderful to know. And so there are 2 points that I'd like to stress on security with Microsoft. The first one is we care about you and we care about your business. We care about making you productive. We don't care about your data. We're not in the market to compete with you or to compete with your business, but rather to make you more productive. It is our most important value as a company. So that's the first one. And then the second one, our security is unparalleled. And so I think that if you had an opportunity to hear about security today, or we will talk more about security when James comes to present to us. So next one, please. So let's talk about analytics for a bit. And what problems does it solve? Before, just one part, great. So we have interviewed many customers, and some of the biggest reasons they call out is, hey, data has the power to lead an organization in the decision-making process, and this happens across all functions. Do you, as a stakeholder, fear you have the power and leadership to go to areas of the business and say, you should be using analytics, and here is why? It also steers towards objectivity. Sometimes you find business stakeholders who want to make a decision based on experience, but they may not be as well versed on the data. Can you provide that value in your role to these business stakeholders and say, here's your data, and it's important that you're looking at it and making a decision? And then finally, it reveals areas of opportunity. Little did I know that when the pandemic hit, there was going to be a shortage of Oreo thin cookies. You wouldn't believe we love them at home, and I couldn't find them anywhere. Granted, we were all looking for alcohol and gel and wipes, but I never thought Oreo thins would come into a shortage. And so what a very interesting type of phenomena. Our analytics platform is called Synapse. Most of you probably already know that. And what is beautiful about the platform is that it allows you to have different uses of the analytics realm. So from data warehousing to big data, and through the entire steps of the process, regardless of where your data is stored on-prem or in the cloud, how you want to ingest it, prepare it, transform it, store it, and then analyze it. And it brings all of these comprehensive capabilities that work within each other to help you deliver the best intelligence that you can to your business. And so some of the key value propositions that we find our customers see in our platform are, it's not even that we pitch it, but what they tell us. They say, hey, the most important reason is I want to blend data. Why? Because I have different types of data repositories. My business units manage data differently, and I have parent and child organizations that have different structures. And so I need to be able to blend that data, bring it from silos. I also need to bring data sets from different applications, maybe reservations, maybe point of sales, maybe IoT devices. And so imagine the power you have by bringing all that data together. The second point they tell us is limitless. Hey, I want to be able to scale quickly. I want to move my nodes up when I need it. And so we've got that the ability to do that. And we beat our competitors in the market on price by performance. You won't find a platform who can provide the levels of performance that we can at the cost that we can. They also tell us about powerful insights through the different steps in the continuum. It's predictive insights in one single interface. They talk about unified experience, right? It's that common data model that helps brings that audiences together. And finally, unmatched security. So next one. So this is just a reminder that, look for a platform that allows you to deliver groundbreaking value for your business and incorporate the human component into it. Next one. And here are some of our biggest, some of our customers. We work with some of our top Fortune 500 customers. Many of them, we don't have public case studies, but if you look at the top 50, we work with many of them on our data and analytics business. So with that, let me introduce James, who's going to take us one step forward into Azure Synapse Analytics.
Thank you, Cami. So Ron, why don't you go ahead and run that last poll for me, please, on what are you using as your data lake?
Well, it looks like about a third of the folks, 40%, don't currently have a data lake. Again, data lake is that flexible, as I look at it, database architecture that provides a central data repository for ingesting all different types of data, regardless of format, structured or unstructured. So we've got about a third of them just using cloud storage for that same application, and 10-15% each either Hadoop or a data warehouse. And what you're seeing is that a data lake is almost, though not as quickly as Kubernetes is becoming the operating system of the cloud, you've got a data lake because you've got so many different points and types of data coming in from the web, from IoT devices, structured, unstructured. You really need a data lake kind of architecture to give you the flexibility to analyze everything. It's good that Microsoft has it, and that when you're using a Microsoft data lake, if I could interject, also gives you the ability to then seamlessly analyze that data through Azure cloud-based powerful processing to determine what to do based on that. And it's not as limiting it as a traditional database architecture where you've got very structured or regimented data. Here you've got a lot more flexibility. All right, I'm going to end the poll now and turn it back over to you.
Thank you for that great intro and summary of the data lake, Ron. That was wonderful.
Well, now I can only sound intelligent for a little bit, but if people ask me questions, I'm turning it over to you, James.
That works. So earlier in Bala's presentation, he mentioned, he brought up the data lake and very thankful for Ron's description, quick overview on the data lake. So within Azure, the data lake and the common data model is the foundation of its seamlessly integration ecosystem. This means every application in the organization writes data in a common format, for an example, CSVs or Parquet. Then that data is landed in a common storage layer, accessible by all applications in the organization. as shown in the bottom of the slides, we can land financial, sales, customer profile data, and a whole lot more in one location using a common data model that can be ingested into Azure Synapse Analytics. Now, Cami showed a slide a couple slides ago where she talked about all the tooling that is a part of the Azure platform as a whole. One of the approach that we took here in Azure is that we like to offer, kind of like fully PaaS solutions to customers to kind of like, allows you to be able to come to value a lot quicker instead of spending time stitching solutions together. So let's take a quick look under the hood of Synapse. Synapse Analytics is not one piece of technology. It's really a analytic solution. It's an integrated service with many different technologies working in concert as one. Again, like as I mentioned, there's really nothing for you to stitch together. It shares a, let me just build out this whole slide and then we'll be able to walk through them a lot easier, right? So it shares a common meta store between Spark and SQL monitoring capabilities and security controls. Earlier, I started talking about the data lake in a shared common model, right? In Azure, the Azure data lake storage is what we use as that data lake layer, pretty much as that foundation location to store all your data. You can ingest structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data into the lake. You can leverage the embedded Apache Spark runtime, as seen on the screen here, in a notebook style for data engineering and data science. The output result is written into an optimized format for the SQL runtime for further analysis. And this is where you would plug in, your BI tools for reporting and so on. And with the SQL runtime, we actually have two separate versions. Or factors, I should say. We have a on-demand version. Now, this is when you create your Synapse workspace without you having to, provision any resources ahead of time. There's already compute in the backend waiting for you to execute SQL. You just bring up your Synapse workspace and start querying data that's on your data lake at any format that it is to start getting, doing some data discovery and really getting a sense of what do you have in your data lake. And then when you're ready to actually do reporting with a BI tool, that's when the provision form factor of the SQL runtime is made available to you as well. And on top of these runtimes, our common data layers is a suite of languages to support all different personas that Cami mentioned earlier. And we're talking about here your data scientists, developers, business users, and your info security guys, right? Everyone collaborating on the data at the same time to accelerate innovations. And again, with full security monitoring capabilities, as a lot of users have known Azure to be strong on. As I mentioned a second ago, this service is fully integrated with Power BI. This screen you're looking at here is kind of like a screenshot of what Synapse Analytics is. As I mentioned, it's a fully integrated solution. You can tell Power BI integrated in. You could tell the notebook styles to run Spark applications. There are SQL window where you could run, SQL scripts. There are monitoring capabilities here. You can what we call like a link service, which pretty much are connectors to cloud storage, to other third-party services that's running on the platform. You can pretty much connect everything together within one, I would say, studio user interface to really start, doing your data exploration and discovery, and ultimately to great visualizations. One of the tools that we see that is used very popular with Synapse is the shared data service. And this is pretty much a service where after, you, as a part of your pipeline, to massage data that you have within your organization, you may still have needs to get data from partners or even share data with partners. So after you run through this data engineering pipeline and actually really massage the data and get it to a consumable state, you can actually put this data into what we have. What we have is called Data Share. Put the output data into this service and share it with your partners or even external organizations, or even if you're selling it to other external customers, you could use the data share as a central location to actually get the data outside of your tenant inside Azure. Since we announced the service about a year ago, we've had a lot of high-profile customers who've jumped on, who are very happy with the service and who are either at production or near production with the system. We also have a few customer use cases available as a part of this presentation, which will be shared with you as the audience, that you can read through in your own time to really get familiar with what some of the big customers that we have are doing out there on Azure.